Jimmy Giuffre, I reckon I've got about a 35% chance of having pronounced that right, was a jazz clarinetist and saxophonist from Dallas, Texas. He was particularly known for promoting free improvisation and paving the way for free jazz in that. His career spanned from the 1940s to the 1990s. His first album came out in 1955, his last was in 1996, and there's quite a lot of them in between. Hi, my name's Dan. So I have no idea what number album this is by Jimmy Giuffre. It's an album credited to Jimmy Giuffre 3, which is a trio that he's got, and it's a studio album, and it's my first time listening to it. Okay. So it's listed in Acclaimed Music as Fusion slash 1961. And I went looking because I couldn't instantly find out why the 1961 bit was that. I mean, it was released in 1961, but the Wikipedia page for it just says Fusion. And in fact, I couldn't find anything on Wikipedia, either for him or for the album, that gave a clue as to why this was slash 1961. But I went looking elsewhere and I found a later release which was either similar to or identical to this album. Certainly was the same three people and most of the same songs. I can't remember the exact details. And that was presented as 1961, which I think is an expanded version. There's a little bit of guesswork in there. I think that both names have been used for this album at various points and various stages of release. Now, this is the thing that Acclaimed Music do, is if there is an album that has been re-released and it's very similar, but it has a different name, they use both names and they regard them as being kind of aspect of the same album, as it were. I guess that means that they can then use reviews because they're putting their huge amalgamated list together from review scores and end of year lists and various things like that. And it means they can amalgamate things together, I guess. Anyway, that's a procedural thing, and let's move on. So we've got Jimmy Giuffre on clarinets. We've got a guy called Paul Bley on piano, who I've never heard of, and I've got a guy called Steve Swallow on bass, who I've never heard of, but he has a great name. And Wikipedia describes this as being jazz, West Coast jazz, cool jazz, third stream, chamber jazz, all with commas between them. Acclaimed Music is a little bit more restrained, and it describes this as cool jazz, third stream. And so, for me, I'm not a jazz expert. So, if you are a jazz expert and I'm getting this wrong, then please do correct me by leaving me a comment, and I'd love to know. To my mind, cool jazz has got two kind of elements to it. The first is that it's come from the West Coast rather than the East Coast. And the second one is that it tends to kind of be really mellow and maybe slow, but also, yeah, there's tendency to be what we think of as cool, yeah, relaxed and laid back. Um, I'm reasonably confident about that. Third stream, I'm less confident about, and I have to go look it up. Now, apparently, it's a cross between jazz and classical. Listen to that album, I kind of get that, but I'm not sure to what extent. I think I could argue that there's not a lot of classical in here, but I think it's the sounds used. So certainly clarinet makes you think more classical. Maybe that makes it feel more classical. I don't know. It's the fact that there's improvisation in it is. I know there is classical stuff with improvisation in it, but I'm getting bogged down. Right, so let's move on. So apparently, Jimmy Giuffre said at the time that this trio was, quote, searching for a free sense of tonality and form. And I'm not really sure what that means. In fact, to me, it comes across a little as being pretentious, but then maybe the music is in itself a little pretentious. Depends on your view, I guess, because pretentious is a negative word. You might say it's confident or that it's explorative. Explorative is a good word. So the playing's nice. It's clear. It's a good recording. It's nuanced. Especially, I'd say the clarinet has got some subtlety to it. And there's a kind of breathiness, a constant breathiness to the sound of the clarinet in here. And it goes between what I think of as being kind of more free jazz, but it's the kind of the seeming randomness. I've got written there, the seeming randomness of discordant, semi-free stuff. It's deliberately kind of messing about with what we think of as being the, to the normal ear. Maybe I've got a normal ear, I don't know. Um, of for harmony, and it's kind of making discords within that. And then at other times it's more harmonic and even melodic at times. So it kind of moves in and out of feeling like it's cool and okay, and then it's kind of a little bit more sinister because it's got the discordant stuff going on. The lack of drums here is a thing that is quite unusual for a lot of jazz, apart from maybe solo piano jazz. And that I would say it goes a long way to give it its laid back sound. And I think front and center here is definitely the clarinet and the piano. They're kind of equal partners, I would say, in here with the bass kind of in the backing. One of the critics of the album actually claimed that the piano took the forefront more than the clarinet here. I'm not sure I agree, but maybe they'll know better than me. Anyway, I've done a lot of description. Oh, what I really need to get to is some opinion. So I quite liked it. Um, I did feel it was trying to send me to sleep because it has that kind of gentle mellowness to it. But that maybe because of the kind of somewhat free elements, it would send me to sleep with somewhat surreal dreams. Um, I felt like it's more interesting than just background cafe jazz. Um, but it's too mellow to be properly foreground, so I'm going to use the word midground for this. Um, I did feel, however, that it's a bit homogenous, and I think that comes through because obviously it's been done all in the same session, I believe. It's the clarinet sound that is just so constant all the way through, and I know you can do different things with the clarinet, but he's determinedly sticking with this very breathy sound on the clarinet that just makes the whole thing feel like it's all one big um, thing, homogeneous. Yeah, all feels the same, although different tracks at different speeds. So I've got a kind of muted response, fairly positive, but not wowed by it. And that's what I think. So now, please, I'm going to invite you to tell me what you think. So please do let me know what you think of this album by leaving me a comment in the comments box. I read all comments and I try and respond to pretty much all of them. It's a great place to be in the comments in my channel, even though I say so myself. And that's it from me for now.